You're such an asshole.
We got another one from our North Korean agent in the field, who I wonder if he actually is a North Korean agent and if they pay him to, this is their way to do SAPs, which I actually don't mind, because getting foreigners in general, especially if English is their second language, I kind of appreciate. It's kind of a different, unique take. So I know you guys think he's kind of spurty, but and he might be, but this guy's from a foreign country, so I think a little bit of that is there. His question is, why does America embrace sexual perversity? I think it's perversion. Perversion is the word you're looking for. Why does America and seemingly the collective West embrace sexual perversion? From LGBTQ, porn, pedophilia, birth control, lowering the age of consent, hardcore mind-altering drugs, abortion on demand, divorce, single motherhood, just about every perverse act I can imagine. The collective Western civilization is hell-bent on normalizing deviant practices that is most sane, sensible, traditional, honoring civilization would see as strange at best and abhorrent at worst. Well, also culture destroying. A recent article in the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Snyder showed that Germany, on top of being the worst hit by the idiotic sanctions that failed to achieve the intended goal, is now the prostitution capital of Europe. The drummer of the German hard rock band Scorpions admitted that he attended a party where super rich degenerate pay $100,000 to watch people get murdered and also witness something so horrible in the same party that he could not even talk about it. Are the U.S. and collective West trying to be the 21st century equivalent of the biblical Sodom? And I don't think there's I don't come down one side or the other on this, because it is not, at least in my experiences, simple perversion. There's a couple other things going on. So first, let's at least talk about the United States. One of the things you see in the United States, I would say less so in the West, but the West generally is about freedom. But especially in the United States, you're free to do what you want in this country. And as there's a libertarianism-esque thing, especially when it comes to liberal social, the left social rights, they want to do that. And you're from any reason, unless you're religious in the United States, like no one cares that you're gay. Really, no one cares that you're gay. I would like to tell that to all the gay people out there, not straight. The vast majority of people in the United States don't care that you're not straight. All right. And then, but there's two types of not straight people within the US and the West. There are those that are legit not straight, and they're regular normal people, and they do their thing. Fine. They dress up as drag queens. Fine. They attend gay pride, whatever. It's just, but they have jobs. They're human beings. They do their thing. Then there are the people who have nothing in their lives but traits because they're lazy and they don't want to work. And a lot of people will glom on to traits that they could acquire that they are not born with. And the three, I guess, no, just the two more common ones is mental disorders, and then also that you're not straight. Whatever, I'm just going not. I tried using the word non-binary. I was trying to be very polite and civil. Oh, that's not what it means. Oh, shut up, you sophists. Fine, not straight. Are we okay? And the regular not straight people, they don't care. Oh, yeah, not straight, non-binary. I know what he's meaning. Yeah, and those are the people you can have a beer with. It's the people who fake being not straight that get offended when you don't use their pronouns. That's kind of there. When you don't, respect their, I identify as a polar bear, that kind of stuff, who are mentally ill. Just mentally ill. But when it comes to the United States and how back in the day, yes, there would have been a discrimination against the homosexual community or not straight community. But more modernly, I don't think there's not one person in the United States care. I think because there's this kind of underlying, yeah, it's America, do what you want, except guns. You're not allowed to have guns. You're not allowed to have drugs. Although even there, you start to see some states legalizing pot. But I think culturally speaking, you say, well, why does America embrace sexual perversion? They may not embrace it for themselves. My back hurts. But they do recognize people's individual rights to do it. So I think there's an environment that allows for it. People are like, well, you can do whatever you want. And one of the few things I guess I could say about Americans is, generally speaking, they're okay with that. I haven't helped you if you're a white male. Oh, sinner. But generally, Americans generally like, oh, you're not straight, cool. Want to grab a beer? They don't care. So that's where society is kind of accepting of it. Then we go on to, you kind of went over a lot of different things that aren't necessarily that. It's LGBT, porn, pedophilia, birth control, lowering age of consent, hardcore mind altering drugs, abortion on demand, divorce, single motherhood, and every perversive act I can imagine. So, God, we got to kind of take these apart one by one because they are something different. Porn, you're not getting rid of. Everybody watches porn. You have a too idealistic view of humanity and what they should or are going to do. That's you're not going to get rid of that. I mean, you're over in Asia. Are the Korean guys going to give up their animus? Give up their hentai porn? Pedophilia. Let's kind of throw that into. Well, no, I'll address it out. That's just mental illness. That's just wrong. That's just sick, twisted people there. But then also, I wonder if there's a group of people in the United States that just have so little problems that that's all they can get off on. People who like, well, why can't we? There's some like activists who just want to see how far they can take it instead of doing something productive with society. They want to see, well, what can we have it so people are allowed to crap in the streets? Can we have it so we get a tent city? Like, that's all right. Those people are, I don't know if they're mentally ill. They've just been so coddled and pampered their entire life. But for the most part, pedophilia is just mentally ill people need to be at minimum institutionalized, taken off the street. Birth control, that's just a technological advancement that I'm glad came around because there's nothing worse than being an unwanted kid or being a kid born. Like, if you're never born, that's fine. You never suffer. But if you were born into poverty, broken home, irresponsible parents, your life is hell. So there's suffering there. So I'm all for birth control. And I think you have more extreme views about what should be. But birth control is a good thing. Most logical people will support that. Lowering the age of consent. That's, again, kind of depends on how low of an age of consent you want. Are there a bunch of pedophile, disgusting people in that movement? Yes. Is it just, again, some politicians trying to be edgy? I'm not joking. In California, they probably try to lower the age of consent to, what, I don't know, 14, so that they can, be edgy and then they could get the kids vote. We'll get kids voting rights in California. Hardcore mind altering drugs has nothing to do with sexual perversion. People just like doing drugs. I would say more recently because there's nothing to live for in Western nations. Abortion on demand, that is birth control, subcategory of it. It's a regrettable form of birth control, but let's just admit it, a lot of women are not responsible. They're just not responsible. A lot of guys aren't responsible too. You don't bring in the condom. Oh, it feels better without. And stupid people make stupid decisions. And then a kid is about to, and I'll be honest, at least they put the kid out of its misery before the kid started suffering. I'll go with that. Of course, a lot of it is a lifestyle choice. You're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. I got to be a queen and slay and get the bag. So I don't even think they go as far as thinking of a anti-natalist approach to avoid suffering. I don't think they're not reading whatever Nietzsche, Schopenhauer. But let's go here. Abortion on demand, divorce, and single motherhood. Those are kind of all within their own. That's just responsibility avoidance. That's just not taking agency in your choices, trying to avoid the consequences, and just hurting a lot of people along the way. Divorce, you chose the wrong person to marry. Single motherhood, it's an unfortunate reality. Be dads, you can throw those in there, non-participatory dads. But that's just two irresponsible people, or perhaps one, depending if the gal filed for divorce and I'm not happy and destroyed a family. That's people avoiding their responsibilities in the form of their of their children, so they could go and continue being single and party. That doesn't necessarily have anything to do with sexual perversion. That's just abandoning or avoiding responsibility and generally shucking it off to the taxpayer to be burdened with the expenses. So we get that, but getting back to the overarching yeah. So some of these are about sexual perversion, but a lot of them aren't. They're just about responsibility avoidance, which is a different topic. Article anyway, so getting back to the main one, why do they embrace it? Because there's a cultural aspect of America that's like, well, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't care if you want to be dressed up as a gimp. Are you having fun? Go ahead. I don't care. Do you want to have a quadruple sum? Go do it. Are you into fat chicks? Go. Do you I don't know. Go do your thing. I really don't care. So there is an environment that is accepting of it. Maybe not welcoming, but they're accepting of it. But where you might get disgusted with the perversion, or one would say maybe even aberrant behavior, is where it comes to that group of people who don't use it because of who they are. They use it because they aren't anyone. If that makes any sense. As you know, I've talked about traitism a lot, where the average American now is being conditioned to value traits they were born with more than anything they've ever accomplished in their life. This is an easy sell for Democrats to just sheep. You could see it. You could see it. Where people are, the number one thing that they value about themselves is traits they were born with. Oh, I'm a woman, so you get and the corresponding political movement behind it. I'm Hispanic, I'm Black, minority, Black pride, Asian pride, whatever else have you. Gay pride, or not straight pride. Keep making up variants. Go ahead. And then also those who are mental illness, or I'm pansexual, I'm gender fluid, or whatever else like that. And whereas there's no doubt real people in the real world who are these things, these people are not placing a trait they were born with or a trait they claim to have at the center of their universe because they actually believe there's something great or amazing about being a woman or being Hispanic or being a Jew. They're doing it so they don't have to work. And they also do it so they can claim to be a victim, because as long as you're not a white male who's straight, that's the scapegoat class. Then you could say, I'm oppressed by that group of people. I need free gimme that's. That's all it is. I mean, I saw this coming a mile away, where I was like, well, what are all the straight white guys going to do? I say, watch, they're going to get all emo-y, and they're going to have a touch of the tism, and they're going to, ooh, I'm a Bulbasaur sexual. I'm oppressed. Give me disability. And now you see it. You can even see it in the polling. If you go take a look at how not to become a millennial, there's a great chart in there that shows the percent of each generation that identifies as not straight. I forgot how they broke it down, but I'm not going to complicate the analysis. And now I think the Zoomers, like 1 in 20 of them claim to not be straight. It's like, no, you're just a bored little snot-nosed kid who wants to be popular in school without working hard at it. That's it. That's all you're doing. You just want to have value, purpose, and meaning without working at it. And it is so what's happening there, and this is where you really, in defense of people who are legitimately not straight, in defense of them, you can't let these posers ruin the reputation of the legit not straight community or any other straight community. So, and the reason why is, don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, is because those who would use a trait, those who would fake having a trait, or those who may actually have the trait but put it at their most important value and would engage in just a cheap, shallow, barely veiled tactic of, ooh, I have a touch of the gays. And it's all those evil white straight men that are oppressing me. Give me money. Those are scumbags. Those are thieves. Those are bad, evil people. And also cowards. And when you have bad, evil, cowardly, hypocritical people, right, their behavior is going to be reprehensible no matter what. And so what you see, whichever group or trait you want, but let's take the not straight community because we're talking about that, is where it's not acceptance. Man, America's been accepting of gays probably very much so since the 90s. It's not celebrated. They want fealty. They want you to worship them. This is where it's like, and well, of course, also the victim narrative where everything now. Is there? Yeah, there was a shooting. What, last week? Are there dumb, evil, vile people who will go and shoot people up? Yes. Is that unfortunate? Yes. Should they be hunted down? Yes. But that doesn't change the fact that there's a group or contingent of people within each group that their aims are malicious. They're not honest. They're abusing a trait they're born with or something they claim to be. And then their behavior is so reprehensible to the rest of the community. That's where I think you get a backlash. I think that's maybe where you hate this. Like, think, and we can talk about this, like how the LGBT community interacts with children. Can you have a kid at a gay pride? Yeah, you know, well, there ain't too many penises hanging out. You know, should you have Drake's? No, you should have Drake's drag queen story time. Should we maybe postpone? You know, like look at the absurdity. And here's where I agree with you, where it's like there is a group that is evil and despicable, where you're trying to get little 5 to 8 year old children, like, oh, you might like. It's like, hey, can you let the kids be kids? I don't know if I speak for the rest of the nation, but I think most of us are like, yeah, wait till about 12 or 13 and come out like, okay, look, here's the deal. 97% of the population is straight. Then there's this 3% other. It used to just be gay and bi when things were simpler back then, but now we got all these, again, probably that nefarious, malicious types where they're just like, oh, I'm this type. They come up with new ones because they're bored and they got nothing else to do. They're not legitimately not straight. And there's other, all right? And there's no real rules or law. You're in a free country. You could do what you want as long as you don't hurt anyone else. But it might take some time. You might, but yeah, there it is. Then when we get to these kids, like when they're kids, and that's just evil to me. You know, the fact that DeSantis caught so much flack in Florida for passing that bill, like, now you can't teach little kids, you know, about sexual. You got to wait a little bit. And so that's where you see that fanaticism. That's where it's like these people. I guarantee you, look at those activists who want to, whatever, the trans activists or whoever was pushing for that pedophilia, essentially, a grooming, legitimate grooming. You'll look at them. I don't think these are like doctors and surgeons and accountants and, you know, they're contributing members of society. They just happen to be not straight, whatever. I bet you that's all they have in life. I guarantee you, look at the resume. They have a degree in activism. They got a degree in gender studies. They got nothing else going on. It's not like, oh, here is Bob Bobson. Bob Bobson is trans, but he is an upstanding member of the community. He runs Bob Bobson's transmissions, right? He's got 40 locations across Florida, and he just wanted to sit on the panel. He's on the thing, and he just wants to make sure that kids who might be trans have that opportunity to come in school in a safe environment. But he understands, like, well, I was a kid once, and I want to learn about this crap. When I was 8 years old, I just want to play with my truck. And then that's not it. I guarantee you look these people up, go pull a Clary test on all of them. These are worthless people who have nothing else going on except to advance their political goal and agenda. They're like the board. Well, why are you doing this? Because we want you to join us. Well, why? Because, well, should there be kind of a more like, no, no. And I think that's where you and everybody else gets real pissed off at whatever group or community that tries to not get acceptance, but fealty, praise. And then especially when it comes to kids, I don't know, indoctrination, grooming, or whatever you'd call that. I think that's where everyone gets pissed off. Most Americans are pissed off about that. They're like, no, this is our kids. When my kid gets old, he or she will make their own decision. But no, not they're older. One thing I never hear about is like, can you guys just let the kids be kids? Can you just let them have a childhood? Democrats can't. They absolutely cannot. They gotta like, oh my God, you're racist and you need socialism and oh, white men are bad. And your father is a male and he's got patri. It's like, God, jeez. Can you look? The adult world has got to suck enough. Can you just let them believe in Santa Claus and look forward to summer vacation? No, they got to screw it all up. So it's one, Americans are accepting of it. Two, I think you expand the definition of sexual perversion to include things that have nothing to do with perversion, but simple choice or technology. And three, the real disagreement people have with different sexual lifestyles, it's not even the lifestyles itself. It's when people put that as the number one thing and say, if you don't worship and praise me and give me special treatment, you hate my people, you're an oppressor, and I'm entitled to your money. It's the most specious, pathetic, cowardly, hypocritical, weakling form of theft. Like, again, I've always said, at least the guy in the guy in the alley has to contend with the fact that I might have a gun on me before he robs me. These people want to use the force of law and the flimsy argument that, oh, I have less money than those people over there, therefore they must be oppressing me. It's like, it's not because you're a leftist Marxist douchebag who majored in the world's dumbest crap and now running behind whatever your gender or your skin color or a made-up mental disorder or a gender you just selected one, and now you're hiding behind, oh, bail me out. Well, you majored in English. Why the hell would we bail? That's why you're poor. No, it's because I suck the dicks. It's like, no, it ain't because you suck the dicks. That guy over there sucks the dicks and he makes a lot of money because he majored in engineering. And another thing is, for those of you within a marginalized community, whatever, and you're legit, you're just a black dude who wants to be an accountant, or you just happen to be, a lesbian and you want to, I don't know, work at a car shop, whatever. You might want to get these people, like the pronoun people, you might want to start shaming them and getting them in line because they're doing nothing to help your community. They're not ruining it, but they're really besmirching it relative to the rest of the population. I don't know if everyone has the insight or the foresight, whatever the correct word is, to delineate between the posers who are like the attention whores versus the people who just are. Because if these attention whores, these loudmouths, these pronoun people keep like getting all the attention and they're going to define your community, and then you might have a problem. Then you might have it where it's like, people are genuinely bigoted because of the egregious behavior of other people within your. They're not your community. That's why they're not legit. They're faking. Oh my God, what is it? Not only is it like 1 in 20 Zoomers claim to be not straight, that's not a win. It's not like you're trying to convert people. It should be, what are you? You're straight or not? You're not. That shows you there are so many people using your gender or your sexuality. They're using it as like a fashion accessory. They're using it as a really nice sweater to be popular. Oh, look, I am so lesbian. Look at me. Like, doesn't it piss you off? Like that Rachel Dolezal, remember her? The gal that claimed to be black. She's white as white, but she took tanning pills that did her hair up, claimed to be black, and turns out she's not black at all. Doesn't that piss you off? That's all they're doing is Rachel. And man, no one likes Rachel Dolezal. No one, because she was a hypocrite. Now, I'm just saying that's where you probably get pissed off at these people. All right. If you guys kindly would subscribe to the channel. Oh, these super chats. Yeah. I feel a hell of a lot better than I did 3 days ago, but that cough is still. Can't get enough of your love, baby. Generation Apollo, $5. There's a video of drag queens dancing in a church and people cheering for it. Nothing is awful. Yeah, but let me ask. There's another perfect example. Are those people really Christian? Like it's any group. I mean, you could identify as any group as long as you got a flag behind you. Oh, this is our team. Christians should be like, hey, I mean, it's exactly on the opposite side. Do Christians realize just what a reputation it is having these dead branches of Christianity aloft? There's no Christ there. There's nothing going on. It's just politics with Christ. It's an abuse of Christ. But yeah, it shouldn't be shocking because, like, think about that. You got a platform, you got a whatever drag queen, preacher, or priestess, whatever. People are like, oh yeah, we're so valuable. Pull everyone in that church. Pull everyone in that church. I guarantee you couldn't fill one pew with anyone that's got a real job in those churches. Probably a bunch of government workers or nonprofits or academic types who are just trying to find spirituality. You think it's fashionable to have a drag queen up there. Aaron, are you saying if you're not straight, you can't be Christian? No, that's not what I said. You know exactly what I said. I don't even entertain those arguments. Because the argument is always watch. You hate minority or not straight people. No, you didn't hear a word I said. Not a word I said. I actually legitimately care because you got a bunch of posers faking it for validation and attention. All right. There we go. See you guys later. I gotta go, Toodles.